All right, Martin County, strap yourself in. We're going to go for another ride down the rabbit hole as we take a look at more of the election information that's going on, especially in Indiantown. And now, wait, don't let that tune you out, Martin County, because you wait till you see what you have right in your backyard. All right, folks, Nomo here. Let's talk a little bit about the Indiantown Village Council race that's taking place. And I've got to tell you, this thing is becoming more and more bizarre. A letter was taken to the village clerk's office here in Indiantown and time stamped and submitted to the village record. Now, this in of itself isn't that unusual, but hang on. It was an unsigned letter, meaning whoever took it in there took it in anonymously, and there's a lot of this anonymous stuff going on. Put your name on it, folks, if you're going to say something. Anyway, with no creases in the paper and absolutely no signature block on it. Now, the contents were a crude and desperate attempt by the Dowling campaign to hold on to his only source of income in his ego trip as a councilman, quite frankly. The claims that were in it are really not worth repeating because they're absurd. But what does need to be said is that the moral equivalency of trying to tie a divorce by Carmine to the blatant and illegal violations and even the associations that Anthony has is pathetic. But look, man, you got to do what you got to do. And if negative campaigning's the only thing you've got to do, Anthony, go for it, baby. We also saw a comment online by a certain individual that actually lives in Okeechobee but calls herself a swamp girl. She was trying to draw, and let me tell you what she did. She actually asked the question, how is Anthony's public record search and turning up the fact that he actually is driving on an illegal license, illegal registration, and illegal plates, and probably without proof of insurance? How is that any different than us looking and finding that Carmine had a divorce? Now, wait a minute. The moral equivalency here is zilch. And again, pathetic. The best they have is to try and float a desperate balloon. Needless to say, we're a little curious why the village of Indiantown even accepted this quote unquote letter from someone that is faceless and nameless and put it on the record and then posted it on Facebook in an effort to play Robert Burns Jr. the second or something. We're not quite sure why they're taking these heinous and just ridiculous and somewhat embarrassing steps, but we'd like to put a word out to Ms Rosado. Ms Rosado, be careful who you stand with. It seems that they've thrown you three in a boat, you and Jackie and Anthony, and when you stand along people and you associate and you allow yourself to become part of that quote-unquote crowd, know too that their image reflects back on you. So I think since we haven't heard, hey, I'm not part of these guys, I'm out here on my own, we're going to assume that you are part of them. And I want you to listen, Ms. Rosado, real closely to the people that you're standing with, because these are facts. Now, Mr. Dowling was passed over twice for captain. He spent 7.5 years in the reserves and never made his captain's ranks, which anyone that has served knows that he should have come out a double-barred captain. He has no income, according to his own records. We're not making this up. He doesn't have a job other than a part-time council member's position that pays him $10,000 a year, and we've documented this, makes him $833 a month before taxes. His declared income puts him below the poverty level, which in and of itself is not a crime. I mean, but it does reflect on the fact that he is living below poverty level. And he's asking you to put him in a position to control the millions of dollars that are coming through, and he can't even control his own. Come on, folks. There's more. He's driving on expired out-of-state tags from Texas. He's driving with an expired out-of-state registration on the vehicle. His vehicle, by law in Florida, should have been registered within a certain time frame, and it hasn't been. Whether it's his vehicle or somebody else letting him drive it or not, it's still illegal, and he is driving it. His re-election signs don't even have the required verbiage on them. It seems apparent, too, that his auto insurance is an issue. knowing the other quantities, you got to kind of prove that you've got a registration and a valid vehicle before you can get insurance. What gives? He's living in, now, we have learned something else. And, again, it's okay to have to rely at some point. Things happen, things we find ourselves in places, but when it's chronic and we can't get out of a taxpayer funded hole, then I think that there's an issue with the mentality of thinking that goes along with this type of person. And we have learned that he is living, he being Anthony D. Dowling, is living in taxpayer subsidized housing in Joseph Lee Gardens, while there are families that have been on the waiting list as long as over 3 years to get into those units. He's used his influence to take a two-bedroom apartment on your dime while mothers and children's wait. He is a confirmed friend with Palm Bay Councilman Kenny Johnson, a convicted pedophile. He is a confirmed friend with Robert Burns, a convicted rapist, the two of which came to town in the last election and really started some ugly racial backlash kind of discussions. Are you with me still, Ms Rosado? You kind of get the direction we're going here. Those that you stand with, well, you sort of become like them, and you certainly are known by them when you stand with them. Now, there's more. Hang on. Woof, there's more to know who you're dealing with here, because you, Jackie, and Anthony seem to be rowing the same boat, and you seem to be repeating the same lines that Anthony and Jackie are both repeating. Coordination's a great thing, I guess. Now, all of the donations outside of one to date for Anthony is from out of the village. Heck, they're even out of the county. His contributors to date are a mere few, his contributions rather, to date are a mere few $100s. Where's the support from the local voter? Okay. He said he wanted to replace Martin County Fire Rescue, and he wants to do it again because he says he wants a new town hall that includes a fire department. He wants to replace the sheriff's office with the local PD. How do we know that? He wants to approve the town hall. The town hall has what? A police department. He has asked for raises, personal raises, and slush fund money for the council members to spend on whatever they please. Fortunately, he was turned down. He wants a new town hall at the cost of 30 million plus. The Taj Mahal, as everyone says. And this argument about people deciding about the, no, there was no decision making from the people in any of this. What they were offered was three different choices of what they could have, not a fourth, which was nothing right now. Thank you. All right. He wanted to raise fees on new homes and construction that would have raised the cost of a single family home over $40,000 and more out of the pocket of the actual homeowner. He voted with Jackie and Janet and Guyton, Mr. Weekend at Bernie Stone, to ignore your voice as a citizen voter by not following the charter and the employee personnel referendum you said you wanted. They don't listen, Miss Rosada, and you're standing with them. Then we look at Jackie's duplicity with the illegal food that's being conducted, distribution being conducted here in Indiantown, and her position with the health department. She's supposed to be there to stop disease transfer. Okay. Jackie's signs are not inclusive either. They lack the required bylaw verbiage on them, even though she tried to fix it the first time. There's still mistakes on there, sweetheart. Does she care? Evidently not. So why should she care about any insider knowledge or morals as well as ethics when sitting in her seat? You see, rules don't apply to her and Anthony, and I guess they don't apply to you either, Miss Rosada. Just what we need, another no rules, all things are good if I say so type person on the council. You see, she's taking Jackie, that is taking advantage of her position, and she acts like a saint while she does it. But look here, over 2 years ago, Anthony awarded $3K plus from the Indiantown Trust Fund, established by FP&L for community betterment here in Indiantown. This is just one of many that were made that year, donations that is. The $1 million trust fund being established was a stipulation of FP&L's ability to perform certain business operations in Martin County a long time back. The county was the overseer of the fund and usually handled the distribution of the funds out to nonprofit organization, churches, things like that through the county. And now the fund is under Indiantown's control because of the incorporation. Anthony was given the reins. Now the fund is near depleted after the last check writing spree that Anthony just pushed out. It's even lower. Wasn't too good. Well, the recipient of the 3K we mentioned was Church. It was for window replacement. Well, guess what? There are no replaced windows, and the public reporting required by the trust fund's bylaws has not been completed either. Somehow, Anthony was able to slide 3K of the money and tens of thousands of other dollars elsewhere without, again, adhering to the rule of law. Where is the reporting? Where is the transparency? And then you have Jackie's real estate mogul purchases that conveniently started up during her term. A couple of them not bad purchases there, Miss Clark, and the dollars you paid for them, whew, that's simply pretty low. A couple of them on Martin Luther King Boulevard, and you kind of look at the way that the Booker Park overlay, master plan overlay, fits on top of that. I guess if I knew that was coming my way before it was too, I'd be able to buy businesses at a reduced price or business properties and put them in my portfolio, and then poof, go ahead and vote for this new wonderful taxpayer funded refurb and beautification and everything else to take place right in front of my properties. Oh, okay. I guess the extra 10K a year for being a village council person put her over the top. She works a full-time job, taxpayer funded with the health department, and pays top dollar. She has a nonprofit organization that she pays herself out of the donations. We already documented this. Well over 80% goes to pockets and not to mission. Jeez, she gets her stipend from the taxpayers in the village and, as we suspect, the occasional gig dollar on the side from, you know, properties. And then we can bring in the illustrious Howard Brown. I mean, we could sit here and go over a list of things, Miss Rosado. These are the people that you have chosen to side with. And we urge the voter in Indiantown to look at this. Who is Miss Rosada standing with? Why is Anthony Dowling stooping to such low, trite, and contrary means to bring a moral equivalency? This young man actually has a problem, I believe. Then Jackie. Well, we're still working on Jackie's case, and we're going to do another follow-up story on who Jackie's associated with, just to give you a bigger picture. And Martin County, if you're still with me on this and you're outside of Indiantown and still listening to this, you can understand why this will have an impact on you, given the fact that the master plan for the village of Indiantown, these geniuses have said that they're willing to go along with public annexation for anybody that wants in so they can grow this behemoth. Sounds like another Stewart, doesn't it? You were handed a pile when Stewart started, and now look what it's done to your traffic, your infrastructure, your stack and pack. These guys are going to be building 4, 6, and 8 stories outside of the limits that, well, anyway, let's just get back to the fact that I hope you're paying attention, people. This is it. This is election time. This is where you make your voice heard. You want to know what one person can do? Well, one person can do a lot. All right, guys, look, I'm fired up today, but I got to tell you, please put the check mark next to the name that you think is going to do the most for everyone. If you're voting for race, don't vote. If you're voting for some kind of goodie or kickback, don't vote. But folks, when you do vote, we're not going to tell you how to vote, but please at least think before you vote. Take a look at the facts. Take a look at the junk that comes out. We're trying to help you sort it out, and that's what we're here for. We're Talk About Martin. Oh, and by the way, we hope to have a couple of announcements coming up about some new contributors that'll be coming on board. Their insights into different part of the county are about as deep as ours are in Indiantown and into the school board, and we're looking forward to having them come on board and talk with us. So until next time, look, if you like what we put out, please hit the subscribe button. Follow us at talkaboutmartin.com. We've been banned so many times on Facebook. You got to have that update coming from us at Talk About Martin. So go to talkaboutmartin.com, put follow up there, and click follow. and you'll be able to get updates and all of the insider information as we publish it, because we don't put it all on Facebook and there's a lot more to be known. So, Martin County, until next time, Nomo out.